glorious, Edo. You're the heartbeat of Nigeria. Beautiful, Edo, glorious, Edo. Stars are singing over you. You're the land people dream to be. Our treasures are found in all nations, and our greatness is second to none. Our history.
Good evening, and you're welcome to the Alaghodaro 2021 live studio, transmitting from the heart of Benin. And today, this is our second episode for today, and I promised you earlier that we're going to be having very interesting topics and interesting people coming on board to talk to us, educate us, enlighten us about the activities that are going on in the state, even as we celebrate the Alaghodaro 2021, which is the 5th year anniversary of our dear Governor Godwin Obaseki. Before I introduce our guests, I'm going to be asking Sarah to come up and give us our news flash.
Thanks, Peter. Good evening. On the news flash, the Edo State Governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, will tomorrow, November 12, 2021, during the 2021 Alaghodaro Summit, bring together Edo citizens at home and in diaspora, investors from across the globe, and other stakeholders to review the impacts of numerous pro-Edo people with the aim of improving and sustaining the gains recorded in the last 5 years. The summit, in its 5th edition, is scheduled to take place between November 12th and 14, 2021, with the theme Edo of Our Dreams, Building a Sustainable One. Crusoe Osaige, who spoke to journalists in Benin City, said the summit, among other objectives, will interrogate the process made, ensuring that the state is on the path of prosperity. The Edo State Governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, has commissioned the Edo Tech Park, an elite software engineering and leadership training institute, noting that the park will produce at least 15,000 world-class software engineers in the state within the next 5 years. Obaseki, who spoke during the commissioning of the Takeoff campus for the Edo Tech Park in Okoromi Community, Oredo local government area of Edo State, said the government aims to transform Edo into the technology outstanding nerve center in Africa. The governor also commended the World Bank for supporting the government's efforts at empowering the youth and preparing them for the future. The Edo State Governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, will tomorrow, 12th, 2021, during the 2021 Alaghodaro Summit, bring together Edo citizens at home and in diaspora, investors from across the globe, and other stakeholders to review the impacts of numerous programs, reforms, and initiatives by the administration to better the lives of Edo people, with the aim of improving and sustaining the gains recorded in the last 5 years. That's all on the news flash. Over to you, Peter.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Today we have here we have today in our midst Mr. KELVIN UWAIBI. He is the Managing Director at Edo State Investment Promotion Office, ESIPO. You're welcome.
Thank you, Peter. My
Now,
pleasure.
I'll just read for you his profile. He's Mr. KELVIN UWAIBI is Managing Director, State Representative at the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, NIPC, and the Nigerian Export Council, NEPC, respectively. His interests are in micro, small, and medium enterprises, growth, promotion of domestic investment, and foreign direct investment financing. He's an alumnus of the Harvard Kennedy Executive Program. He has an MA in Humanities from Leicester University, United Kingdom, also trained at the Institute of Commonwealth Studies, certified by the Institute of previously worked with the Center for Africa and Peace Strategy, London, facilitator for the British Council / World Bank Debate to Action Program. He is a member of Association of Professional Negotiators and Mediators, the Friends of Africa, and Governance and Institution Policy Commission Nigeria Economic Summit Group. This is quite a very, very loaded CV. You are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, what do you do? What do you do at the Edo State Investment Promotion Office?
Okay. The Edo State Investment Promotion Office came into being January 2018. It was established by the Obaseki-led administration, and we are there to facilitate investment, make sure that investors that come into Edo State have a seamless process, ensure that we make sure that when investors also have issues, we listen to their issues and work with other sister agencies to ensure that those issues are resolved, ensure that there's an enabling environment for investors when they come to Edo State to invest.
Okay, so how is that investment going at the moment?
Well, when it comes to it, I can tell you that we are competing with other, I say 35 states plus the FCT, so 36. So we take that very seriously. We want to ensure that Edo State is the preferred investment destination. So in doing so, we have made sure that we are working with other of sister MDAs to look at critical issues that investors normally will look at. So one of those things will be data, for example. And you know, we have gone ahead to launch the Data to Mega program for the state. Just recently, we just completed the exercise with the Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission, which is called the Nigeria Investment Certification for States. Edo State is the 8th state in the last couple of years that is going through that certification process. It's actually looking at verifiable data that investors will need when they want to come and locate in your place. So for example, if an investor was coming to Edo State to even do any kind of investment, they want to know that they can go to their kids can go to a good school. They want to know that they can have the kind of health facility. They don't want to just jump on the plane and start to go back to their country because they have a headache, for example. So they need to know that our health systems are okay. They need to know that we have good road network to be able to send their goods to different parts of the country if they start to manufacture. And they need to know that we as the communities that they are staying in also are friendly. So we take up all this data, making sure from all MDAs, and to be very candid with you, the MDAs we work very closely with, and they have been very, very, I can say, there's this synergy to ensure that Edo State is actually that preferred investment destination.
The Alaghodaro Summit is an investment summit. So how would you assess the investment climate in the state and the impact of this summit in endeavoring the reforms that will attract investors?
Great, thank you, Sarah, for that. Usually, the very first Alaghodaro was in 2017, and I was, really part of that Alaghodaro. In fact, there was this whole brainstorming on how do we really start to bring people into Edo State? How do we ensure that people want to? So, by nature of human beings, we only gather when there's an activity. And I do remember that His Excellency, in his first year of inauguration, didn't want to celebrate or pop and pendry and all of that. He wanted something that will really, lead to, a kind of sustainable kind of economy for the state. Okay. So even when there was this, let's do party as usual, Your Excellency said, no, I need to, from his background, he's an investment banker, so he thought about, I needed to get those people I know and show them where I am now, how it looks like. So if the 2017 Alaghodaro was hugely successful, we had a lot of investors, Edo people also, even in the diaspora, coming to Edo State. Some were visiting Edo State for the very first time after they had left. You see, so there's no way we can talk about investment without letting people come. Finding an event like an Alaghodaro that brings people, because human beings are naturally very busy. So the Alaghodaro has really, brought in most of the investment you are seeing today in the state, and more are coming, is an offshoot of the Alaghodaro program. I know a lot of, we will still need to even now start to even do some media programs, even before the major program, the kind of way we are getting traction from investors.
Yeah, can you just give us like some specific investments that we'll be looking at? Because you said a lot of investments. Some people are still trying to point and say, are you sure they're investments? They're just mentioning one and saying so many investments.
So let me put it the way that investment work. Most times we are very used to brick and mortar in this our aspect. They expect government to be the one to go set up one big building, and even though if it's not functional or just to show. The way this administration is, that's not the way it works. Every kobo must count. And in doing that, everywhere in civilized countries, you find out that it's the people, the businesses that run the economy. Yeah. It's not government. Government is just an enabler. And that's what we're trying to do with forms of our policies. Okay. With forms of, the bills, the laws. I will mention a few which we just recently passed. But we must start to understand that we cannot do things the way we used to do it and expect the same results. It's not, or a different result rather. It's not going to happen. So with what we are doing presently, let me give you an example. Anytime I drive around, if you go along Saple Road, you will see the massive kinds of, I would say, structures that are coming up. I'm talking about profits, and if they don't feel safe. Sure. I don't want to mention a few other states. So in what government is doing is enabling the environment, making the environment peaceful, making people to, so when you are in the environment or you are in Edo State, you see it as a state you want to live in. So for some of us in the investment office, I tell my colleagues, we call it the Edo project. You must have that Edo experience. It starts from the airport. It starts from when you go into a hotel, how the steward or the reception even treats you. Yeah. If you look at the Seychelles and the islands and all of that, all they do is tourism, entertainment, and all of that, and you find a huge investment. So even in our hospitality business, it's huge. You see a lot of hotels springing up. Recently, someone said, Kelvin, I see a whole lot of hotels happening in Edo State. I only asked the friend the question. I said, do you think Edo State has 10,000 rooms? And he was shocked. I said, go around. We have done our analysis. We need more hotels. And some of them couldn't find rooms in Edo State. Wow. And they couldn't. Some even, I'm telling you, they will have to fly in tomorrow because there's no accommodation. Wow. So when you're talking about investment, it's not about when government starts to put in and say, I don't want to go the other way, but you have to be able to, the funds you're putting in, there must be return. Quality return, not just return on investment. And that's what we are doing in Edo State.
So what has been the impact of the investment so far in Edo State?
Interesting. Now, that also will lead us to what we look at in terms of the GDP of the country. Recently, the GDP was rose to about 5.1 or so, and there was this issue that the GDP has risen, but people are still finding hunger and all of that. Mm-hmm. We should not forget that the pandemic just hits us. We're even lucky as a state, right? Because we're among the only states that didn't totally lock down.
Yes, true.
So that was deliberate to make sure that the economy was still moving. And you see, so when you talk about impact, how do you know that we are getting more people employed? Last year, our unemployment reduced about 6-point-something%. Okay. And that is one of the indices to show that there's a whole lot to be done. If you know me, I'll tell you, they know me, will tell you I'm very blunt. We still have a lot of work to do. So for us, the more investors are coming in, and we are also looking at investment, what we call impact investment. We're looking at investment that will impact. So someone can come and set up a place, $500 million, and employ only 5 people. That's not the kind of investment we're looking for. Yes. We're looking for investment that will employ more people and with a living wage. And that is exactly what we are doing. So talking about impact, the indices are there. It shows that we are reducing the number in terms of unemployment. We are getting more people coming into the state. And when people look at the Edo economy, they marvel. And I can tell you from very multilateral institutions, and they're very happy with what is happening in the state presently.
Can you tell us how many jobs some of these investments are generating?
Off my head, I would tell you that I'll go back to the point where His Excellency promised 200,000 jobs.
Okay.
As at the last count, we had done almost 179,000. Now, I know I've seen a lot of people say, where are the work? People just believe that jobs should be from the public sector. So if you say the public sector, recently we employed 300 graduates,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But the public sector, it's even the totality of civil servants in the country is about 4,000. Federal, go check. It's about 4,000. The government is not the major employer of labor. If your government becomes the major employer of labor, know you're in trouble. Just know you're in trouble. Because the small business out there that is employing, let me say, 5 persons, we should be able to enable that business to employ, maybe in the next 2 years, 10 persons.
Yeah.
So that is the trickle-down effect that creates the numbers you see.
Okay.
So talking about the numbers of jobs that have been created, like I just told you, some we have not been able to account for, to be very sincere, because we have not done our analysis. So we need to actually go out there and take those analysis. We have not taken a thorough, if you ask me, detailed analysis.
Okay. I would
Thank
like
you.
to talk to our viewers a bit. We'll stay online here, and would like you to share this page to as many persons as possible. You may not just know someone who may have a very important question to ask our guest here, and is just waiting for this opportunity to do so. Share, like, comment, and ask your questions, and we'll definitely pass the question across to him. And please try and be very, very constructive in your questions. I want to ask, we actually wanted to see if you can give us some specific investments that you think has been attracted into the States since the, talking about private sector now, since the Governor Godwin Obaseki came into office. I just mentioned a few.
Okay. I can tell you that we have had Dangote in Edo State and going upstream. I can also tell you that recently we had the Market Square coming upstream. I can also tell you that we have had Dufil.
Okay.
Dufil are the Indomie people.
Yes.
They are doing wonderfully well
Really?
in Edo State. Yes, they're doing wonderfully well. We've had the Farm Fort. If you go to their factory right now,
Yeah.
in fact, we're trying to do something with them in terms of technology, because they're quite good. What they're doing in terms of trying to upscale agriculture. They're doing a lot of exports in that regards. We have also been able to attract most of the retail businesses into Edo State. Very recently, we have the shopping mall coming up, which is going to be huge by the time it is finished.
Can you tell us about the shopping mall?
Yes, the shopping mall really, if you go to, people just travel. So when people go to UAE, for example, people just go to shop. That's what they go to do.
Yeah.
They just go to shop. There's nothing there they want to. So if you go to Dubai Mall, for example, what is there? It's just people want to, they want to sightseeing, they want to shop and all of that. When you have things that attract people to your location, you find out that at the end of the day, more people will come in. And as they come in, as they are buying something, for example, and they are moving around, they see someone and say, oh, idea starts to come in also. I think I can set up, they start to look at the value chain. That is the idea. That particular mall, Benin Mall, as it's called, is hopefully in the next 14 months should be upstream.
Wow.
Right? And it's about, there's going to be about 49, different shops in there. And the library, there are 2 sets of library. I know library have gone digital also.
Yeah.
So it actually has also inculcated, in that place you're going to have, there's an inbuilt library, even within the mall.
Okay.
So what had just happened is that space have just been put to better use.
Okay.
And I want to say here that you cannot, like I say, you cannot remain in the same place and you're expecting development. It doesn't happen.
Yes.
So the mall would attract a lot of people. Edo is a transit. People coming from Lagos and want to go to Port Harcourt and Delta, they will come through here. Those that want to go to, if they don't go through maybe Abuja or somewhere, they can pass through Benin also to Abuja, and even from the north.
Yes.
So I can tell you that that mall is not even enough. And take my word for it. Our analysis shows that Edo can take about 4 extra malls in the different corners.
Yes.
And so I'll give you an example. A major supermarket in Edo State, when Market Square was coming in, they were worried.
Yes.
I don't know if you have been to Market Square, maybe in the evening, such as this.
It is crowded.
You may be the 20th person waiting to just pick up. So Edo has that, and we are largely diasporan. So when a lot of people look at Edo economy, it's a different kind of economy. It's something you need to study.
Yes.
It's a different kind of economy. So when you're looking at that mall is going to further expand. And as that mall is coming, I'm telling you, it's going to attract more businesses into Edo State. And that's what we want. Because more people are going to be employed. That mall will employ nothing less than at least 1,000 persons. Minimum. I don't want to exaggerate here or anything. 1,000 minimum. And I'm not talking about the offshoot that would happen.
Yes.
So look at, I will still use malls like supermarkets like Jara, for example. Look at the Domino's Pizza.
Yeah.
They opened 2 branches,
Yes.
doing well. So that's the expansion, exactly. So we just need to make sure, we need to, as Edo people, first and foremost, love our state.
True.
Because we are coming to that right now.
Yeah.
We need to ensure that, we take Edo first. We think about it. Because the way the world is, COVID-19 pandemic has taught us that, I don't want to use the word, there's no place like home, but truly that is what it is.
Yes.
And we need to start to look at ourselves and be a bit patient and good.
Yes.
Because in everybody, you have a good and a bad. Think about it. You can also be an investor. I tell myself, I say, you can be an investor. An investor doesn't necessarily mean, yes, we want the big ones that are bringing $1 million and all of that. But you can start a small business.
True.
And I'll give you a story. In 2019, I was in China. I visited a leather factory. China has been able to take about 400 million of their people out of the poverty line in less than 2 decades.
Wow.
In less than 2 decades. This company started about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, with $20,000. As at the time, what we call the chairman, CEO of the company was speaking, the company is outside of our office. That's what we're trying to do now.
Okay.
Your business, you must be able to be consistent.
Yes.
Keep your records and all of that. You find out that in Nigeria, you have the population, you have a market for 200 million people. Take it that you even sell something that is 1 naira, which is not even available, to 1 million people.
You make $1 million.
You make $1 million. They talk about the business environment. I can tell you, if you look at the flights coming into Edo State, you find a lot of foreigners coming in here. Yeah. If there was nothing here, they would not come.
Yes, that's true.
It's that simple. So we need to start to look within. My worry, and I say this to, I call it my brothers and sisters, because I'm not just speaking as, as privileged to have a job with the Edo State government, but as a concerned Edo person. Do we want a situation where we have businesses coming here? And it happens in some climates. I've seen it happen in the UK where you find out foreigners come at the end of the day because you did not key into it. You end up not having a job because you did not key into the opportunity.
Okay.
So I advise that we start to look at how we can key into the opportunities as Edo people. Thank you.
Just a quick one. Let's just go into the investment in the agricultural sector. Now, the oil, a lot of people do not know the details about the Edo State oil palm program. Can you tell us the aims and objectives, the process so far? What has been the achievement so far in that sector?
So before you answer the question, we're going to short break. Okay. And when we come back, you'll give us the answers to the question.
Okay. Thank you, Peter.
Stay tuned, please.
The 5th edition of the Alaghodaro Summit, organized by the Edo State government in collaboration with private partners to showcase opportunities and engender sustainable development in Edo State. The theme for this year's celebration is the Edo of our dreams, building a sustainable future. Activities include Friday, 12th November, Alaghodaro Summit at the new Festival Hall, Government House, Benin City. Saturday, 13th November, Grand Commissioning of the Professor Victor UWAIBI Creative Hub, Art Exhibition / Edo Youth Mega Concert. Sunday, 14th November 2021, Praise Night at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium. No matter what, the future of Edo is secure.
The ancient city is calling. Oh, arise, sons and daughters of the land.
Welcome back. Remember to share, comment, and then ask your questions. And like we said, we will be very, very, very glad to answer you. We have here a very, very important guest, Mr. KELVIN UWAIBI, the Managing Director, Edo State Investment Promotion Office. And he's been talking about some very, very important things in regards to investments. Said I just asked you a question. Can you give us the answer to that question?
Okay, thank you, Sarah, for that. Oil palm is not new to Edo State.
Yes.
If you recall, the story building you have on Saple Road is called the Palm House.
Yes.
That is to tell you the historical part of oil palm in Edo State. What we are doing, what His Excellency have successfully done is to look at Edo State economy and what had made us, when we're Bendel, number one.
Okay.
And he's bringing all of that. You know, it's more like taking the blueprint and looking at it again. So the oil palm program, the Edo State Oil Palm Program, is a program that is actually looking at the whole, let's say, agricultural sector in the oil palm. We bringing in investors.
Okay.
The government is de-risking that, area to ensure that they provide the investors land.
Okay.
So far, we have been able to give out about 54,000 hectares of land, and ensuring that we also reforest. So we are also using oil palm to regenerate our forest. That's what we are doing with that.
Rubber plantation project, yes.
Okay, great. Now, so let's look at our rubber now.
Yes.
And that had also initiated us looking at a rubber policy. So Edo State is one of the only states right now that have initiated a rubber policy, looking at how we can regenerate our rubber. And rubber has minimum of about 49 items you can get from it. So think about it. Even our rubber band we used to tie everything, I know the ladies use it a lot, so right? We import it. Yes, we do. Yes, we do import rubber band. This is a fact. Now, if you look at what you are wearing, at least if not anything, your shoe has some rubber in it. Your pen has rubber in it. So what we are asking ourselves is that, do we want to remain an import-dependent nation? And looking at what happened in the last couple of months with the not just the COVID, even oil. I say COVID, sorry to say, but this is my opinion, and I must say this. It helped us in a way in Nigeria. Yeah. And I'll say this, because if we had left ourselves with the way the oil was falling, COVID somehow made us save some costs. It sounds funny, but that is exactly, economically, that's exactly what happened. Okay. Right? Now, looking at us as a nation, we need to move away from dependency of crude oil. It's not it's not something we need to debate again. Exactly. And we need to stop talking about it and start acting it. And that's what we're trying to do in Edo State. Or rather, that's what we're doing in Edo State. We don't want to be complaining anymore. Yes. Because we want to say, we have these resources. Let's go into it. It's not that there will be no challenge. There will be challenges. It's like every business. But again, as you see the challenge, you document it and you summate it. If you can't summate it alone, you get partners. And that's what we are doing with our different programs we're doing. if we know that we don't have the technical know-how, we get partners that will work with us to solve that issue of capacity. And that's exactly what we are doing. So on the oil, very interesting details. And hopefully between now and before the end of the year, we would have gotten the report and the implementation next steps would go on.
It's interesting to see a whole lot of being done on the level of the state. Now, I have two questions on this regard. First, the investment promotion law that's been signed, what is it about? Earlier, we had a guest who was talking to us about how difficult it is to get regulations fixed in Nigeria, particularly from the federal aspect. So is that what you were looking at, particularly in this law, or if it's not, what is it?
The House of Assembly, which also I would say are very, very in tune with the economic, development of the state.
Okay.
If you notice that they have passed several laws that has to do with the economic development of the state
Okay.
and even the socio-economic development of the state.
Okay.
And that is what we should be seeing more. We should have that harmony. So going back to the law just and to say that, because when you are speaking with any investor, and even when we have these conversations, you can say what you want to say, but they have to see your policies. They have to see your enabling laws. They have to know that you are serious in implementing those laws. And that is what we are doing in Edo State at the moment, showing the way. And I always say to even my colleagues in other states, that Edo State, we are not afraid to show the way. If we have to, because we are Nigerians. And we should be very conscious of our country, conscious of understanding that we also need to develop and even follow or even surpass those that are developing. And Nigeria has a status up there that we are called the giant of Africa, as it's called. So we need to show it, not just talk it. And that is what Edo is saying, you know what, we are ready to continue in that pact. So the law really just says to you, and that it has given a lot of respite to investors to say, yes, Edo State is serious. We are serious, we are open to business.
Secondly, I want you, in your citation, you mentioned about your interest with SMEs. And I'm asking, what SMEs in Benin City, in Edo State, how is the state working towards ensuring they grow? Because yesterday or the day before yesterday, we were talking with Crusoe, the SA Media, and one of the major issues that came up is having a lot of these foreign investments and the money in the state in the hands of foreigners. What about businesses that are located here? What's being done? Before the government came, some business been crawling, struggling. What's going to be done to help them grow?
Okay, great. I'm very passionate about small, what we call this micro, small, and medium enterprises, the SMEs. Now, in any developed country, even in China, about 80 to 90% of the actual business you see coming out are SMEs. Because there's a categorization for SMEs. It's categorized with the number of employees you have and all of that. Now, for us in Edo State, we have taken keen into what SMEs should look like. And us in Investment Promotion Office, our real concern for SMEs is they should be investor ready. You see? So we are having this challenge, and it has to do with, one, capacity. Two, so an investor, let's say an investor comes in and wants to start infrastructure. Do we have SMEs that they can, as vendors, that they can, subcontract this infrastructure to, for example? Do they have the adequate supply chain? And all of that? Do they have to go to, so I've visited some of these, companies that are manufacturing Edo. Those working in those companies are not Edo people, majority of them. They're not Edo people. And you start to wonder, why is our people don't, is it that we don't want to work? Because I don't believe that, because, again, knowing in diaspora and seeing what the work our people do in the diaspora. So why are we not taking advantage of some of these opportunities. Yeah, home. I don't want to mention certain states because this is us going to the field, talking to those working in these companies, and find out that they are not done. And each time you talk to the CEOs of these companies, say, unfortunately, it's as if people don't want to work.
I don't think it's...
And what is it that, because we have a very youthful population also, that is why the technological part of having that kind of conversation with the owners of these businesses.
Yes.
To make jobs attractive.
Yes, we are also having that kind of conversation with them.
Because that's really key. What I wanted to say initially is because I've there do not want to work in the companies in their state. And when they leave their state and go to other states, they work. I was even having an interview.
So I think it's, so let me put it.
So how do you make the job attractive?
It's not just the job. So it has to do with our own orientation. We have to do a lot of things with orientation. So let me give you an example. Is the way we have so looked at, let's say, certificate, for example.
Okay.
Oh, he has certificate this, he has certificate that, that means that. Okay. What is the hands-on? Okay. That is why, first and foremost, we will not need to start to introduce entrepreneurship in our schools. Because we are getting to that time. I give you Japan, for example. Most of everybody that goes to school, they're hands-on. They can take up a phone, work on it, and all of that. Okay. So our SMEs, we need to start to look at how, and that's what we're already doing. Hopefully we're going to come up with an MSME policy very soon. Last week, we were working with some development partners and other sister MDAs, looking at the, working towards the finance, access to finance for SMEs. Yeah. Now, in doing that, I will just quickly share this. A few years ago, the state embarked on a journey to assist SMEs. Okay. But a lot of those that took those funds saw it as national cake. That is where, if you ask me, we have that major issue. Yeah. So we just recently now, we have just partnered with the Bank of Industry, where we had some catapult funding. The state brought in a billion, and BOI brought in $1 billion. Now, even having people to access those funds, you don't even have them.
Don't you think it's because of the sensitization? Or these persons that are really in need of this is not that high. That is why there's low participation.
We are working on that also. It's not just sensitization. It's about meeting the standard of what the banks would. When you take a facility, it's only in this country, sorry to say, sometimes I see people take facility and think it's grant. If you take a loan, you pay back. Yes. That is the usual. You should be disciplined enough to pay back your facility. So that is what SMEs also now are learning. And we have partners that are coming in. We have a technological partner now, Jose, we are trying to work with. We are looking at other partners. We're also calling on partners to come in to look at the SME space. We need to get it right. Because if we get our SMEs right, in terms of capacity building, in terms of provision of infrastructures, just like electricity, for example, it will change a lot of the dynamics with the SMEs. And that's what we are doing in Edo.
We've been talking about investors coming into the state, making policies and everything attractive for investors. Now, the thing is, what mechanisms have been put in place by the government to reduce fraud, issues of fraud? Like, for example, now, we could have investors wanting to come in to purchase land, So what are the things that the government is putting in place to ensure that these issues of fraud, scam, is not on the high side?
Okay, great. You know that at some point, 2017 also, I think even in January, we came up with the law against anti-property law, right? Yes. That law was to, protect those that have properties, and people don't just go into someone's land and say it's my own. It's very funny. You see, you see a piece of land, let's say 100 by 100, and 5 people are saying I bought it. Yes. You see, but now that takes care of enforcement. Wow. So if you go into someone's land, you may get a jail term of 10 years.
That's nice.
And again, we have put in the geographical information system, the GIS. Yes. So now it's so easy for you. And I always say and I want to use your point to say, if you have a land and you don't have a C of O, try and get one. True. You see, we need to start to learn processes. By the time you have that, someone cannot just come because someone cannot just come and get to. We all just need to somehow key into some of these new initiatives. they are new here. If we don't welcome people into Edo State, if we don't change the way we do things, it doesn't mean that the world will change because of us. We'll look back and say, oh, we would have done things differently. But we have the opportunity now to do it. So, and there's no sort of, change, positive change. You can have two types of change. That would not come with some level of, you have to go through some certain process. And I know sometimes it's difficult for us to go and say, oh, we are ready. But if that is going to give us that positive change, then why not?
Now, I want to talk a little about the Benin River Port. We had the essay give us a little about that information the last time, but I think you can tell us more about it. A lot of people are clamoring, Gili Seaport. Now it's Benin River Port. And they are like, will this happen before Obaseki leaves office? Because that is the major question.
Okay. Now, investment, anything you are investing in, has stages. I can tell you with the time given, the team that we have had ports in other states, and we understand the issues. Okay. In Edo, we are, as much as possible, trying to ensure that those mistakes are not also made. So I know sometimes, like I said, we can be impatient and say, oh, we want things to be done. Yeah. So I give you an example. If you are going to build a house, right, and you wanted to build a bungalow, who knows, you can build it in how many days or how many months, or it depends on your finances, right? Yes. But if you were going to build, let's say, a duplex, you would need the foundation to what the engineers will go to cure itself for maybe another 28, 30 days. Even though you are a billionaire, if you do that thing in 2 days, you just saw what recently happened. Yes, exactly. The building collapse. So there are certain stages you must take if you must get it right. Yeah. And sometimes I think maybe, information and all of that they are looking at, as much as possible, would ensure that Edo people know what we are doing. And there's the Freedom of Information Bill, which this is one of the government that if you want to get information, ask and you'll be given. Yeah. It's that simple. But I think our people, again, they are spinners I've seen. And sometimes I just laugh and say, why do you want to hurt your own state? For what? Of what gain? Yes. Why don't you confirm and ask? Why do you deliberately go and put propaganda out there? They're not doing anything. Oh, well, you think you are going to, you're punishing anybody. Yeah. We are punishing ourselves in the other states. True. Because money only goes to where money is welcome. Yes. So it will not stop the investors from going to somewhere else and doing their investments. Yeah. So that is exactly. So right now, the River Port is at the stage of a transaction advisor. Okay. And so that transaction advisor, last 2 months, they were even, going around trying to look at those that do export, imports, looking at the market, ensuring to see how many Edo people will want to use the facility. You have to do those kind of, investigations and research, as they call it. So they're doing all of that. Raising the funds, take it from me, is not the issue here. Because it's going to be private. Government is not putting in their funds. Let me first say this. Wow. It's a private, we are looking at a private equity kind of thing, right? Okay. And also understand that with ports, federal government plays a huge role. Okay. It's not a state, only a state game. I put it, no. So you have to also be able to go through those processes that, has to do with the, federal. Only today I had the Shipper Council, they were in my office to discuss, what can they do for us, because we are having several projects. We have the river port, that let me talk about what has to do with the marine and haulage system. We have the truck park, we have the dry port coming up and all of that. Yes. All these things takes time, and you have to be able to really discuss or negotiate, I would say, with the different stakeholders. If they're not happy with what you are telling them, forget it. True. Okay. You have to carry everybody along. So it's not as easy as people think. If you have $1 million in your pocket, you can't do anything with it. True. So they need to understand that there's a huge technicalities in getting this, projects done. It's not just about the money, because I always see how people are always interested about, no, we have investors that have money in their pocket. They can't do anything with it because the technicalities are there.
Okay. So
Thank you.
Take a break just now, and when we come back, we'll be talking in relations to real estate development.
Okay, thank you.
The 5th edition of the Alaghodaro Summit, organized by the Edo State government in collaboration with private partners to showcase opportunities and engender sustainable development in Edo State. The theme for this year's celebration is the Edo of our dreams, building a sustainable future. Activities include Friday, 12th November, Alaghodaro Summit at the new Festival Hall, Government House, Benin City. Saturday, 13th November, Grand Commissioning of the Professor Victor Waifo Creative Hub, Art Exhibition / Edo Youth Mega Concert. Sunday, 14th November 2021, Praise Night at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium. No matter what, the future of Edo is secure.
The ancient city is calling. Oh, arise, sons and daughters of the land. The king of the city is marching. Stand up high to the pride of the land. The founding fathers have labored, and our time to serve is now. The glory of the new Edo nation will forever be our pride. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, you're the heartbeat of Nigeria. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo.
Welcome back. We have some questions from our audience. Someone is asking, his name is Stephen Ken. He says, thank you for these enlightenment topics. I'm an auto mechanical engineering, I think, in Germany. I guess his mechanical is trying to spell there. Can you answer that question?
Okay. What's his name?
His name is Stephen Ken.
Okay, thank you, Stephen, for your question. In Edo State presently, we are working towards an auto park. I'm sure we in Edo State, we are the second largest in terms of automobile after Lagos in terms of automobile importation. So it's very critical for us to be able to do that. We are presently having a few persons that have sent in proposals, and we are currently reviewing those proposals. We are also welcoming any other that have proposals into that one. We want to make sure that we can do those things seamlessly. We don't want a situation where you just put a stopgap and the issue starts to reoccur. So Edo State, we are working towards an auto park. And so, yes, we are, Stephen, we are working towards that. And your suggestion, before we finish from this program, we'll leave our emails so you can send us your proposals. If you have one, we're willing to look at it. Thank you.
Yes, Sam, what advice do you have for who is coming to Edo State to invest? Is there any platform to start with in respect of this issue?
Okay. So for us, it's the Investment Promotion Office. Okay. But what we have done, again, it's that, like I said, we work, very closely with our sister MDAs. So what we have tried to do with, investment in Edo State is like security. We say it's everybody's business. Yes. So these are the opportunities in Edo State. That's how we are looking at it. So we are not tying it down to say, oh, everybody must come through the investment promotion. No, ours is to facilitate. We are not the brick and mortar. We don't implement investments. So I've seen once an investor, came in and wanted to get CFO and said, Kelvin, can you just call the MD? And I said, go to the customer service there, take a form, and just write and everything. And he said, no, this is Nigeria. I said, you are getting it. This is maybe Nigeria, but this is Edo State.
Edo State.
Right? So actually, 2 months down the line, he went there, and he had a CFO. Wow. And he was shocked. And I said, that is, I like people going there. I call them mystery shoppers. Go in there, test the process, let us know. Because we have put so much process in place. talking about just only a few days ago, my colleague in the urban development, physical planning and urban development, have just started with working to ensure that building permits can come in within 10, 15 days. So that is what we want to see. That's the only thing that will make people come in. So talking about what he just asked is, yes, you can come to the investment promotion office, you can go to our website, you can come into that process. The thing is that when you come, through us, what really happens is that we get everybody that you should be speaking to on the table. That's what we really do. So we don't want anybody. So if you were going to set up a factory, the environmental people may be there. You may have the GIS people there. You may be talking. So everybody comes to the table, and we're all having a conversation on your investment and how to make sure that your investment is well and is okay.
Okay. The issue of taxation is one that is one that has make small businesses and even stakeholders have headache. So the question is, how is government leveraging on tax instruments to promote investments?
Okay, so I will say this. A lot of people don't know that our governor is a very hard worker. In the last, you have just one document that shows all your taxes. If it's grand rent, if it's a business permit, all in one paper. And that's what we're trying to achieve. It's not very easy, but that's what we want to try and achieve. So we're trying as much as possible. We need to, these are little things that we would have to, change if you want to see. And His Excellency is working on that with the team, heavily on that. And anything he wants to do, he gets results. So definitely that will come, because we don't want any situation where we find our businesses leaving Edo because of tax issues.
Exactly.
Because it's not, some of those things don't come from government, I can tell you that. Our investigations have shown that clearly.
Can you give us the email address? Is it easy to call it?
Yeah. No, it's very simple. We have tried to make it. It's invest@edostate.gov.ng.
Okay. Invest
at
edostate.gov.ng. So Stephen Ken is actually asking that question. He said,
yes.
States. I know we just touched some parts of it, but we see that the real estate is really booming. There's so many areas that buildings are just coming up. Can you just say that in a minute or two?
Okay, so we are largely looking at now luxury apartments coming into Edo State and gated communities. Okay. So there are other proposals we have received, which I may not be able to share on air because for investors' confidentiality. But yes, we are having a lot of traction in that, and my colleagues in the EDPA are also looking into that. But what I want to just say here is that all those that are coming in should go through the proper process, and which is go through the government process of land acquisition and ensuring that those lands are secure. That's what I want to say when it comes to real estate. And we don't want land prospectors. Edo is big on that because you have a lot of construction going on in Edo, and most of them are residential. So yes, it's increasing by the minute.
Mr. Kevin, just a quick one. Let's assume now, this is not just an assumption. We have potential investors looking at you live here at the Alaghodaro studio. So we'd like you to say a word or two to our potential investors.
Okay, dear investors, I want to say that we appreciate you even thinking of, coming to see that you have a seamless experience. Edo is open for business. Thank you.
Fantastic.
I just want to say a very big thank you to Mr. UWAIBI. Thank you so much for coming on the program today. And I want to thank our viewers and those of you who asked questions, those of you, all your contributions, your comments. We're very glad to have you on the program. Stay tuned again tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be starting much earlier. We're going to be streaming the Alaghodaro Investment Summit live from this platform. And in between the program itself, we're going to be having interviews and talking to some of the panelists that will be on the program. So be there. Remember, even if you are not here, you can be a full part of what is going on. Until we meet again tomorrow, do have a beautiful evening.
Thank you.
The 5th edition of the Alaghodaro Summit organized by the Edo State government in collaboration with private partners to showcase opportunities and engender sustainable development in Edo State. The theme for this year's celebration is the Edo of our dreams, building a sustainable future. Activities include Friday, 12 November, Alaghodaro Summit at the new Festival Hall, Government House, Benin City. Saturday, 13th November, Grand Commissioning of the Professor Victor UWAIBI Creative Hub, Art Exhibition / Edo Youth Mega Concert. Sunday, 14th November 2021, Praise Night at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium. No matter what, the future of Edo is secure.
The ancient city is calling. Oh, arise, sons and daughters of the pride of the land. The founding fathers have labored, and our time to serve is now. The glory of the new Edo nation will forever Edo. You're the heartbeat of Nigeria, beautiful Edo, glorious Edo. Stars are singing.